Tony Perkins is truly a fine actor. He's given some marvelous performances in films like Friendly Persuasion. Probably most remembered role he ever did was of Norman Bates in the that goes back to 1960? The first Psycho. Then there was a Psycho 2. Now there's a Psycho 3. And he also appears and directs. And it opens July the 2nd. Would you welcome Anthony Perkins? Before you come over and sit down, something we want to get out of our system. Would you step over here for a second? Couldn't resist it.
No one told me about that one.
I know that.
No.
I suppose, do most people come up to you and talk about that particular scene, of all the things you've done? It's funny how something in people's memories locks in forever.
Yeah, it's true. They talk about the two Psycho films, there's no question about it. But when they see me, when they spot me in a hotel lobby or an elevator, they usually come towards me rather than say, oh, there's Norman Bates. They usually say, oh, let's tell him our Psycho stories about when, our parents went to see it and she jumped into his arms and they were married next week and we're the kids that resulted from the evening, that kind of thing. Everyone has a story that has some kind of an affectionate ending to it.
You've been asked this many times, but I'm fascinated. That was Hitchcock, of course. That scene, if you watch it over and over again, has been called probably one of the greatest pieces of... It only lasted, what, a minute or 45 seconds?
Depending on where you see it. On the television, obviously, it's edited just a little bit.
Right. But it was made up of how many different individual cuts? It was
at least 30 or 40. Yeah.
Little things and...
I wasn't there for that.
Really?
No, so the scene scares me, too. No. I was in New York rehearsing a play.
Right.
And Hitchcock said, go ahead, we wouldn't be using you for this anyway. I want to use a silhouette that's not quite like yours. So go ahead and rehearse the show.
So you never saw him do that scene at all?
No.
And the first time you actually saw it, I guess, was when the picture was
Yes, exactly.
So it does not seem possible. That was 26 years ago.
Over a generation, well over a generation.
So
People have grown up with the Psycho idea.
Then Psycho 2,
Yeah.
Now Psycho 3. How many people has Norman done away with?
Well, to answer that a little bit differently, in Psycho 2, he didn't kill anyone until driven to it at the end of the picture by... No, the crimes in Psycho 2 were committed by the Vera Miles character and her daughter, who were definitely out to drive Norman crazier than he already was. But at the end, he was so infuriated that an old lady showed up who claimed to be his real mother. And she had also done some of the killings. And he felt that she was responsible for the girl that he had begun to fall in love with, and he gave her the shovel in the back of the head, for those who remembered seeing that picture.
Yes, the old attention getter. Yeah. The old shovel attention getter. That'll do it.
This left her on the kitchen floor, and that's really where Psycho 3 starts. Yes, Psycho 3 starts just scant months after Psycho 2 ends. Yeah.
Yeah. What is it? We're going to get back to that. I want to talk about making those kind of pictures, or the ones you've done, because there's something very interesting about terror and what scares people. So we'll come back and we'll talk about
Sure,
that.
let's do.
All right, we'll take a break. We'll be right back. Without getting into a deep philosophical discussion, it's interesting what scares people. There were a lot of movies for a while. There was a whole fad of the Hollywood, the Friday the 13th, Friday night type of stuff. What is it that you have found that, I know what Hitchcock always thought, and it was the ordinary, rather commonplace played against not knowing.
Against the bizarre.
Yeah.
And of course, it's even harder to scare people when you deal with the occult and the supernatural. Those two pictures you named there had to do also with ordinary people. And there was no undead, no zombies, no people from outer space in those pictures.
Right.
In the case of Psycho, it could happen next door. That was Hitchcock's contention. This story could happen about your neighbors and about you and about your family. And of course, it's a very simple story. There are no extras, and there are no special effects, no big budget. So it's Very modest, very pragmatic, very easy to follow.
I remember seeing Diabolique.
Yes.
And that scene at the end of the picture, you never saw anything really. It was just this undercurrent of something was going on. There was that scene in the bathtub at the end where where this guy came out of the bathtub wearing white contact lenses or something. People went crazy, and it was nothing was going on in the picture except that undercurrent of something was about to happen.
And incidentally, one of the most copied and ripped off plots in the last 25 years.
Now we got a little clip here of Psycho 3. Does this need any, as they say,
I don't think
warning
so.
or anything?
I think people may recognize the inside of Norman's office, and he's interviewing a young drifter that's come in looking for a part-time job.
All right, from Psycho 3. There's the ball. Nobody ever does. High rate of attrition at the motel, huh?
Yes, that's right.
You have an intensity about you when you do lines like that. Are you aware that you...
Well, you have to have an intensity about
But
it.
it's way under.
You won't get a laugh if you think you're being funny, or even if you tip it a tiny bit to inform the audience that this is supposed to be a laugh.
Right.
There are things in Psycho 3 that do get laughs, but it's all deadly straight. Without it being straight, it won't be funny.
Yeah.
Terribly important.
Yeah, lots of things that are unsaid. The quietness about it. You directed this, right?
That's what they tell me. Some days it really went by like a blur.
Right. Are you good with other actors? Kind to other actors?
Yes, I am. I've endured certain indignities at the hands of certain directors that won't be named tonight, and...
Oh, go ahead, name some of them. Get it out of your system.
No.
Some that are gone? Or...
Some that are gone.
Oh, well, then
those
that's not fair.
particularly
That's
we
not fair.
want to leave out of it. But
You mean intimidating? Made you feel insecure, badgered you, or what?
Yes, and you wouldn't think they would want to do that because it's not going to make a good picture. After all, the picture is what's most important.
Did they think by doing what they did that it was in some way going to enhance your
No.
performance or to get something out of you, or were they just...
thought they would get in better with the big stars in the movie. If they could trounce around a little bit on the bit player, which is what I was in this specific early
So you're
film.
aware of that now when you direct?
Oh, sure. Yeah. And actors will do anything for you if you treat them well.
What was it David Merrick once said about it? He said all actors are children, basically. Do you believe that?
Yes, I do.
Childlike in their
You
their
have to be
attitudes?
childlike to be able to show up at 6 o'clock in the morning, throw on a pair of some clothes that are foreign to you, some makeup that doesn't stick right to your face, and go out and play a love scene with someone you've never met before. Only a child could really get that.
But that's good. Child's curiosity.
Yes.
Makes a performance.
Sure.
Yeah. That's interesting. We'll do this. We'll be right back. Stay where you are.